Let's see.
Let's jam.
Jam. All right, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool.
Sean. We got a little jam session going. Why don't you turn that bad boy up?
That's as loud as it goes.
Oh, okay. All right. So we've got a guest today. Our guest was going to be on last week, but as you know, if you listen to the previous episode, he got sick. It's going around.
Yeah.
Sean, you had it last week, so or you were recovering on our last episode. But he's joining us today. So we're going to get into the topic of how to make yourself instantly irrelevant on LinkedIn. And we may get into AI and all that stuff too as well. Who knows?
That's the scheduled topic. We could go anywhere, you know.
Yeah.
You listeners know.
Our guest today is Thomas Helfrich.
Come on, spit it out. Read,
I thought
man,
you were supposed to be
read.
queuing down the music a little.
Oh, okay. Is that distracting you? The music's
not too
new,
much.
So.
All right, Thomas
now it just
is
seems quiet.
Yeah, that's too quiet. He is the esteemed CEO and founder of InstantlyRelevant.com and avant-garde, say that real fast, avant-garde company renowned for its LinkedIn lead generation, innovative marketing services driven by AI, social media, and coaching. He is the author of the book series Never Been Promoted and hosts a podcast of the same name. So we'll get into that, talking a little bit about that. He's an AI nerd. So I think we'll have pretty fun discussion on that today.
Yeah.
And he's bringing coffee to the table today. No alcohol. He doesn't drink, which is cool with us.
Yeah.
He can bring his decaf on the show if he wants. We're not going to hold that against him, are we?
No.
Can we let him in the room with a coffee? Can we let him in the room with a coffee?
Let's do it. Let's cue up the crowd and get them fired up.
All right. Welcome to the show, Thomas.
No one has entered your show in that way, ever. How are you guys?
Never at all.
It's not that I'm now a non-drinker. I'll say it that way. I have plenty of experience drinking, and I feel like it's still exiting my body here still, since August.
Yeah.
So, hey guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate you opening the doors back up for me missing it last week. But
Yeah, I mean, we give everybody at least one mulligan, but that's it. So.
I didn't listen to last week's show, but I'm pretty sure cuss words were said. That mother.
No, just off air.
He's like, off air. You just got stood up, man, right before the show. We're totally unprepared.
I showed up to stand you up, Lee. I showed up and said, "Hey, listen,
that's true.
You know, Sean is always prepared. He's always got a plan B. Unlike myself. So
I just keep a notes tab with ideas.
Today, to be fair, he's like, "You are showing up today, right? Right? You're alive, right?"
That's right. So let me ask you: is it Helfrich or Helfrich?
You said it right, Helfrich.
Okay.
The only people who say it absolutely correct are Germans, and and I can't do it. So, but I go with that one.
Okay. So it is German.
Very German, yeah.
Very German. Okay. Well, my wife comes from German heritage, so
I'm probably as German as I am like Indian at this point, or who knows? I mean, like it's been a while since my family's been from that part of the world, so pure American.
All right.
Mutt, a good old mutt.
Right.
Yes,
exactly.
That's
no
right.
question.
All right. Well, let's talk beverages first, and then well, I tell you what, Thomas, do this for us. Set us up with a really good tease for what we're going to talk about after we introduce our little beverages here. We'll keep it quick on the beverages, but give us a good tease.
No, I mean, talk about beverages for sure, because I have lots of questions you guys know about beer, because I know still understand why it's so delicious and yet addictively good at putting fat on my back. That's anyway. I think the long-winded intro that you got was from not me. I would tell you that I found it instantly relevant to help people stop guessing how to make money with LinkedIn.
Okay.
And so we're going to talk about in the future a few things. One, where everyone goes wrong with it with lead gen, and that's absolutely the beginning place of why it is wrong. And second, why you need a system. And third, where does AI play into that? And I'm happy to go through and give you the credentialing of why that works and why it doesn't, from working for several hundred customers and entrepreneurs.
Very cool. I'm excited about that because I'm using LinkedIn on another platform in an industry that I've been involved in. And, I'm growing it right now organically, which is slow and steady, but I'm really curious on some things that you're going to share today. So cool. I'd like to put that on fire for this coming year. Because that's a good space for me.
Yeah, I'm curious as we go through that to hear a little bit more about. I feel like LinkedIn for a lot of people, especially in probably our listeners, especially a little more freelancers, entrepreneurial. I think it's kind of the forgotten platform. Yeah. Like it's there and you've got your profile, but it's it's just kind of it's kind of the stepkid of the social profiles. So I don't know. I know that's what I want to hear from you. I want to hear some stats and numbers so you can be thinking about that, about absolutely why everyone should be using LinkedIn more often, if they should, and we'll go from there. But I'm curious first, Jonathan, what do you have to drink over there in Knoxville?
I'm going to switch my camera because I don't like showing off my beer from this angle.
Okay. That's what she said.
All right. Here we go.
There we go.
There we go. This feels normal.
Now your mic's not working.
Yeah, I got to switch. I got to switch to the other mic.
Technology's hard.
Test. There we go. All right. So today I have it's a returning guest, but man, I love this. It is a breakfast stout from Founders Brewing. I had a friend that came over last weekend, Sean. For the big game Saturday, that was a huge disappointment. And he's actually my brother-in-law. He brought over a pack of these, little 4-pack, and it was all for me. It was a gift for me. He left them. So I said, man, I'm just going to have these on the show today. I know we've had them before, but these things are amazing. Just to show, let me show this, because I was looking at their website. They got a cool little story about the coffee they use. Did you realize it says the breakfast stout wake up call?
What is that?
What is that?
That's the YouTube's.
Oh, is that YouTube? I'm not playing anything.
I don't know, man.
Okay, well, I'm not going to share this anymore. I don't know what's going on. So it says I'm still hearing some feedback. Are you hearing some?
Yeah. Is that on your end, Thomas? You hearing it?
I don't hear anything.
All right, hold on. Let me make a.
Your mic sounded weird just then, though.
Test. Oh, my mic?
No, Thomas's when he talked.
My mic got weird.
There, now it's gone.
Okay, now it's gone. Weird. So this is I didn't realize the coffee they used in this. It says with a breakfast stout, they use a harmonious combination of oats, chocolate, coffee. These crucial ingredients are the highest quality, but they use their hometown neighbors, a company called Ferris Coffee and Nut. Have you ever heard of this coffee company?
I have not.
Okay.
Should I have?
They had a really cool story. So if you go to their homepage, I'm not going to play this, but if you go to foundersbrewing.com, it talks about the Founders Breakfast Stout. It is so good how this is a perfect example of how to do a really good video. Because you watch this all the way through and you're just like, oh man, that looks amazing. But it talks about the story of using this hometown coffee company in this breakfast stout. So I'm excited. It sounds delectable. Very good. Right.
Well, I've got on my end, let me put up the screen here. I've got something from 903 Brewers here in Texas. And it is a cookies and cream ice cream stout.
Ooh, man.
Over the top, so cookies and cream ice cream flavored stout. So 8.5% alcohol, I think. Yeah, 8.5%. And so you're having breakfast. I'm having desserts. Thomas is somewhere in between with decaf coffee.
Decaf instant Publix brand cheap coffee
Oh, wow.
that you add hot water to, stains the teeth nicely. It's great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Gives heartburn after 4 or 5 of them, and mixed with almond milk is absolutely terrible. And that's why I like to drink it.
Well, let's cheers anyway, despite that terrible beverage you brought with you. But
My old cup, like my old brand, they just peeled right off of that too. It's kind of na zdrowie. All right. Cheers. Kampai.
So what's your go-to drink, Thomas? I mean, you obviously you're not you don't drink decaf, and I know you don't drink alcohol. So what do you if you're relaxing, do you have a cup of tea? Do you drink water, coffee?
Yeah. So my go-to used to be, let's back it up 4 years, definitely IPAs or a Pilsner Urquell. Love it.
Okay.
There's a good citrusy, piney Tropicalia type of IPA. Fantastic. They're awesome. Love it. Nowadays, definitely it's just a club soda of lime. It brings back the vodka memories. Right? So, like, you drink them and you're like, something's missing. But I like a good club soda in water. Just because it's cold. I don't drink as much coffee when it's warm out. It's just more of like a comfort thing. But, I love Guinness. Will do a non-alcoholic Guinness now because I decided I got bored of drinking. It was more of like it was kind of taking too much time as an entrepreneur from me.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's not something I like went to rehab or therapy. I just decided to stop. It was like, maybe, like on a Friday night, I was like, I'm bored.
Pretty hot trend. A lot of entrepreneurs especially are stopping.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're seeing more ads too for the non-alcoholic versions. Like I see the Guinness running their non-alcoholic ads with Joe Montana. So that's
it's like 60 calories to or something. It's pretty light too. I mean, so it's like you can knock out the Sam Adams has an IPA that's really actually quite good. And I've had that one, but it's like 1/5 of the calories, and so. But you can drink those little bastards fast. I'll tell you what, man. You could suck down 4 or 5 of those in minutes. It's like, oh, delicious. The only thing I drank fast was real beer.
Well, I think at least here in Austin, all the entrepreneurs have moved on to plants instead of alcohol. So
I'm not sure that's I'm not against it. I'm not sure it's the wisest move.
Yeah,
either.
Seems to be the.
Oh yeah, everything will come back around. So, what kind of plant, Sean? I'm just curious.
You name it, it's here. Mushroom, Hana,
opioid.
No opioid. Well, they are here, but
poppy, just the flowers. I thought you were talking about floral. I'm sorry, I missed that. That's kind of
more. The devil's lettuce is very popular here.
Good stuff, man.
So, anyway, Jonathan, what do you rate your founders?
Oh, this gets a 4.9 every time. 4.9 every time.
Mine is a little sweet, but I like it. I mean, if you buy a can of beer with ice cream on it, I think you should expect it's going to be a little bit sweet. But man, it's good. Like, it's really good. So I'm going to give this a 4.8.
4.8, man. 2 solid scores.
Yep.
Can I ask? Do you guys drink sours?
I've had a few and not a fan.
When you say sour, what do you mean by
that? I can't drink them. They're horrible. I don't know why these exist, but sour beer. It's like it doesn't taste like a beer. I don't know what it tastes like a mistake that someone bottled.
It tastes like something you get in tonic or something, like a fruit.
I don't know,
because they have the sour slushes now too that are just really weird. To drink a slush out of a can is just weird. It's wrong. It
feels wrong.
Doesn't make sense.
Criminal.
Yeah.
I'll drink an amaretto sour, but that's about as sour as I'll get.
Yeah, I mean the sours do kind of have that taste actually. Now that you mentioned it, so no, I'm not a big fan of the sours. We're more dark beers on here. We're not even big fans of IPAs unless it's a double or a triple.
Double, yeah, it has to be a double.
Yeah. So
a double IPA. So you talk about devil's lettuce. I'll tell a small story if I can. So I was at one point in life I was running. It was kind of a fun thing to go do.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what it is with breweries, but something about beer after a long run is awesome. It's like the best. And we did a 10-mile thing in the morning, and it was like 7 a.m. when you're done.
Yeah.
And then you start drinking beer, and they had this beer called Space space cabbage or space lettuce. And the reason I remember is because I drank too many of them, but they were like a 12% beer that tasted amazing. And after a 10-mile run,
Oh, it goes
you don't have
straight
a lot
to
of water in you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that hot. It was freezing out. And
Yeah.
all I remember is I was meeting some contractor at our house at like 11 o'clock, and I came back unable to speak. And I was like, and all I know is that my kids are waking me up at 10 o'clock at night, like, hey, Daddy, are you getting up? I'm like, huh? What? Like, so space lettuce, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was a triple
like
of
the
some
name.
sort, and it crushed me. It was awful.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that,
That-
especially after a long
That
run.
went straight to your bloodstream after that run. I mean,
Oh
that's
my
like,
gosh. Didn't do that.
Crazy.
Don't run and drink, guys.
Yes.
No.
Don't run and drink. Don't run and drink. All right. Well, let's talk about LinkedIn. Let's so first I'm curious, like, why LinkedIn at all? Like, why not
Sure.
hang out on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or why?
Yeah,
why
I mean,
LinkedIn?
that's a common question, right? And I think, it's a fundamental question you need to answer of, let me bubble out just a bit, and I'll give you a little credentialing and background of how I approach this too. I think this is because it'll be relevant to the conversation.
Yeah.
My background is not marketing. It is intelligent automation and AI systems, and specifically understanding how, how to automate processes that are intended to accelerate you, not replace you. And so my point on AI is use these technologies or powerful technologies like this to accelerate you, to not replace you, to augment you and not do the thinking. And the reason is because they are very powerful and they're intended to make a human go faster and do more. In any of these things, when you're trying to build a business as a solopreneur or a bigger company, there's a bunch of stuff you need to do. And one is understanding where is your audience. And so for us, we help professionals who are looking to build their entrepreneurship professional businesses, B2B, high trust-based businesses, longer sales cycle kind of stuff, coaches, whatever. They're on LinkedIn. They're also on Instagram or Meta and other places as well. But like anything else, you need to niche down. So like pick one where your people are and go with it, because most people don't have enough time to go across all, and it becomes very thin. And there's strategies we can get into with that, but LinkedIn specifically, because it is a professional network, and if you know how to use it correctly, it's by far your best place to generate leads, businesses for specific types of business.
100% agree. Based off of my experience, the last year is just like, why would I spend time, especially if you're in B2B, why would you spend time in any other platform? Right. I mean,
Yep.
That's because I have another podcast, Thomas, that I do that's industry specific in a industry that I've been in for 20 years. And, that's where I get my guests. That's where I get a lot of connections. I network a lot in that platform. And really, it's like just last year, I built the first time for the podcast that I do in that industry, I actually built a LinkedIn page, which I had not done previously. And just in 1 year, it's like 600 page follows, and that's without doing anything. I mean, you have not doing a single thing in a very niche market, has 600 page follows. So it's pretty. I mean, I can say 100% I agree with you if you're in B2B.
Yeah, and if you're selling something direct, it could be like for this podcast, right, in beer, it should have an element of visual and reels of Instagram. And it's not that you don't use other social media, but strategically, unless you're a large corporation with endless funds and resources to support it correctly, you need a primary idea and place to go, and then use the other channels like X or Meta or TikTok or whatever so when people search your name, you just show up on the front page because you have all these different, TikTok, Instagram, whatever else. So there's a strategy you do that, but typically you're going to do really well on one and maybe okay on another is what happens. But wherever your primary brand goes, that's where those people are. That's where you focus it.
Sure. Yeah.
So you've got a website, Thomas, called Instantly Relevant, and that's when we talked to you before the show. We titled this show "How to Make Yourself Instantly Relevant." Kind of, what's the idea behind that? Because that's a pretty big promise in and of itself. So, what's going on with that? And just unpack that a little bit.
Sure. Well, it's a clever marketing name. I think I'll start with that. And there's nothing really instantly relevant. Like there's no way to really do that. But where you become instantly relevant is through a system that produces referrals. And when you have a referral from somebody, you are instantly relevant to that person because somebody who's validated, trusted, that they validate, or I'm sorry, value their opinion of, then whoever that is.
Right.
It said, go work with, Sean, go work with Jonathan. And you skip all the marketing and all the stuff you've usually done to go get that customer. But to get somebody to become a referral and somebody who's actively promoting or endorsing, transcending them from a customer to there is what we show and what we go do for customers. We take you through a system from understanding the profile of one of who you're going to connect with to how you engage, how you interact, the things that you sell, the solutions, the offer theories, and then how you're setting somebody up to be so happy about what they're doing with you that they want to actually go out and refer you. And if they do, that's when you become instantly relevant. But that doesn't usually just happen. There's some savants that get lucky and, they're like, oh, my business is all referral. Like they probably just fundamentally get that. What most people don't. Most people are more egocentric, don't really know how to use altruism and other pieces.
Sure.
There. But that's what it is. You become instantly relevant through no shortcuts. Overnight successes, right? Through
that
hard work.
Yeah.
Focus.
I definitely like that because that's true. Like if you can get a referral, then to that refer the person, I guess the referee, you are instantly relevant to that person because you just come with so much more, just all kinds of preconceived things are happening. Like, if somebody's willing to recommend you, just there's so much goodwill it's in that recommendation that it's amazing.
Exactly. And I think it's important to understand. So our customers are, they know their business well. They're educated in their business. They know their space.
Right.
They are strategic in nature. They absolutely know there's no shortcuts. They know that it's focused, efficient, effective, repetitive, process-driven work. They know that if you repeat things, you do things well, results come from it. So it's like they already get the atomic habits notions of just repeat the process and enjoy the benefits and then improve those processes. And when they come into us, they already know that, hey, I know there's a better way of doing this. I know I can't do it. I need coached. I need educated.
Right.
The people who aren't our customers, who are looking for the quick fix, the influencer without any real knowledge, background, value. And I'm not describing just young people. There's people of other ages who try this as well.
Right.
It works for a little bit. But it doesn't work to produce a brand that's believable, has value, and so they often go down this automation route or these sequenced route, and that is just a guaranteed way to wreck your personal and business brand.
Yeah,
and we can get into, and that's where AI is really massively misused right now.
Sure.
I was going to.
We don't do any automation. So when we talk with people, we teach them how to do this for real. There are spots for automation, but it's not generally where it's anything public facing. So it's in the back end processes.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm looking at your website right now, and for those of you listening, instantly-relevant.com. But the first thing I see is, in the second section on the website, it says, have any of these problems, relevance problem. And then the problem is cold outreach. Let's talk about cold outreach because that's
brand wrecking spam of the universe. Yes.
Yes. I mean, you get it on Facebook, but it feels even worse to me on LinkedIn than it does on Facebook. Like Facebook, I'm like, yeah, I get it. People got VAs, but man, on LinkedIn, it feels really bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's because the APIs available through LinkedIn's marketing partnerships are open and you can use them. I think they do it to collect data more so because they really limit the spam, and there's metrics that go into that. We can get into like how many links have you sent out, how many have been clicked, how many messages look exactly the same or very similar. VAs are not, but just take all that noise away and just ask yourself, do you want your brand to look like the shit that's in your inbox? If the answer is no, then don't sign up for these programs that are going to show you how to do these cool sequencings that are super personalized that every person on the planet goes, oh, did you really stumble upon my? Were you breathing
I
in the
stumbled.
grass?
Yeah, exactly. I stumbled upon your page and really
I was fogging up the window of your LinkedIn profile, being a creepy stalker. Would be
really,
okay
really impressed with your background and experience.
That'd be genius. Actually, used to use. So we've used, to be very clear, I'm not speaking out of turn here. I have tried it all. When we were building this company, we're really early OpenAI beta testers. So we're on the beta side for OpenAI, which is ChatGPT. If you Googled AI nerd, you'd see a ton of videos when I was a little chunkier, and I think I had more hair. But the point is, because of that status, I got in early, and we were like, oh, we're going to build a company that uses automation, my background with this AI, and create a bunch of content and outreach. and we played with it. We did it. Here's the results. I just crossed about 35,000 people on LinkedIn for following again. So we did about 2 years of automation, using every possible hack shortcut to see if we could truly become instantly relevant. What I found was what I already knew, there is no shortcut. And so we got bot spammed. So I got 140,000 plus bots that were following us. And I don't know how, where, but it happened. And it just wrecks your brand. And so LinkedIn finally, after, we asked them to get rid of it, got rid of it. And then our numbers have been engagements, all the stuff that matters more. But the idea is, don't take a shortcut. If you want to protect, if you're there to burn out and get some cash and be done with your year and a half, by all means, use automation. Awesome.
Yeah.
But on the back end of that, if you're trying to create a business, you're going to span your addressable market, and you're going to have real problems 12 to 18 months from now when that list runs out, and people are going to hate you because of the spam that you've put into their inbox. Not hate. They're going to really not want to work with you.
So even if you're not using automation, but you see somebody you want to reach out to on LinkedIn, it is a cold outreach. So how should you be talking to these people?
Yeah, great question. It doesn't have to be a cold outreach. So to get an example, my team does about 4,800 comments a month on other people's posts. Okay. Now, in our system, that's like the middle part, because we already have a profile that's altruistic. It's in service of that person that I'm connecting with. So when they see me comment and we have then a focused dialogue and we kind of drive some conversations, or I send them a connection message about that interaction, they check out my profile and they see the content. It's all about things that they care about. The profile is not about my company name or my title. Sure. It's about what I do for you. Why would it be interesting if you click this link? What it is you'd get if we did interact. And it's all in service of that profile that I'm interacting with. But if you just literally, I just want to meet this, maybe no one wants to sell you a thing. Maybe you don't want to sell it. You just want to meet with somebody. Just say, I really would like to meet with you, for what the real reason is, and say, I'm not trying to sell anything. I just want to have you on as a podcast guest, or I really like what you said here. Here's my related story. I know you get lots of messages, not so, like whatever it is. And I just want to get time to, if you can spare 20 minutes just to tell me a little bit more about this. If you're just and real and authentic, people will see that and they'll recognize it. And unless they're like a, megally influenced, reached out person, they're probably going to take the time to meet with you because they'll recognize that you have
absolutely
value. And it could just be nothing more than networking.
I love the approach of always, give to get, because what you're doing is, and that's actually the approach you mentioned. When I connect with people or B2B companies or companies out there, typically one of the first things I say is, I'd love to highlight your company on my podcast. And so I'm thinking of them first. So that's how I start the conversation. And that comes after I've done a little research and background,
of course,
looking into their company. And here's some things that I would love to highlight on the podcast that you've done recently. So they don't know that it's like some general, some just broad, message. Hey, come on my podcast. But I've actually done some, background work and learned about what they've been doing lately, in the news.
Yeah, exactly. And you haven't taken a shortcut with that. And that's the point. And people might, well, how do you get the volume? Well, you don't need it. This is why it works for B2B services or B2B SaaS companies that have higher ticket value. Whenever a cycle is know, like, trust, you need what we say is relevance to be the catalyst.
Right.
And so if you have the notion of relevance in your reach out and with your interactions, you'll become known, like, and trusted faster. And when I say I give to get, we give and don't ask. So right before this, I was on my podcast for Never Been Promoted. I actually forgot to take off my tie. It's a cut tie for those who are listening. Cut the corporate tie. I've never been. We'll talk about that later. But the idea being is, I really like what this guy's doing. Chris Weissong it's a bucket of bread. He just started it not too long ago. He sends you a bucket of ingredients you can make bread out. It's a beautiful idea, and he's got greater things with veterans. He does. And I said, hey, listen, I just want to be able to, can I coach you for free? Can I help you through some of the things we talked about? And I don't have no intention of, if he buys stuff down the road, I don't care. I just know that this guy's doing good, and I'm going to take my time every month to go help him. And if you take that approach, you're not going to spend time on people who are going to abuse it, because you just won't work with them. But if you do it with people who really prefer it, you might get something back. You might not, but you're doing the right behaviors to help somebody else out. And you still got to sell and make money and do those things, but take that mindset first.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm looking at your site again. You've got the lead generation system. So kind of what's your kind of overall process for like, if you want to help a client or, you know, if somebody wanted to kind of go walk away from this podcast and start implementing some of your ideas, you know, how would they kind of tell me about this lead generation system where lead is.
And I will tell you, the Taylor's kids are naked. You know, 99% of our business comes from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
New website's coming out. That's probably a 9-month-old website that I haven't touched or looked at. Bad strategy, by the way. I'm not going to give you the same strategy I apply to ours, but I also know it's exemplary that it's there, but it produces no revenue. So our website, our system is about sales. It's about learning how to sales on LinkedIn.
Okay.
But LinkedIn is a social media hub. To really be successful, you'll need 3 other. And I'll explain. So there's a communications hub, which could be podcasts, email marketing, things like that. You need a web hub, website, landing pages, sales pages, SEO. Maybe a 4th is the other one, which is in person, your coffees, your live conferences in person, or just a physical store. We focus on typically the web, email, and a social media hub working together, because when you do, you get the right amount of touches and interactions to do that. So the website's there for us. I do not even want to start with the pain, but I finally have a team, I will say on our Instant Relevant team that's going to do something great with that. So more to come. So that being said, I can even show you something if you want to see kind of what our system is. I'm happy to share that, or I can just speak to it. You guys tell me on the sharing of what the interest level of your customers typically are. But we have a system that we walk you through.
Let's see some stuff. Let's see some magic.
Let me see if I can screw this up pretty good. Hopefully any Call of Duty or Fortnite in the background doesn't show up. We won't talk about that today. Okay?
That'd be great if it did.
Yeah, no, as long as there's no explicit stuff, we'd be all right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to share a screen. It didn't give me an option. Which one? Oh, here you go. Oh, look at that. You know, I couldn't find this image half the time. And so I started, am I sharing? Is it going to stop screen?
You got to add it. I think I have to add it to the.
Yeah. I just put it in my desktop background. I
There we go.
never find this thing for meetings. And I don't want you to take a pitchy because you only asked for this. So in any system, so take this and do what you want with it. I assure you that if you do actually take this, you're going to, you'll find benefit.
Make sure you talk it out, because most of our viewers most of our people are listeners. So make sure you talk it out.
I'll do this.
So
in our system, I'm showing a 1-page document, and in here it is really just a summation of how to build a machine to make things work for you. So the example is specific to LinkedIn, and imagine this: you're going from A to B, straight line. You're right now, you have goals, objectives for your business, for you personally, whatever else. And where we want to take you is learn how to become instantly relevant. And that's where you get referrals for your business. Once again, this is for the buyer that's educated, strategic, has a B2B trust built type of company, and needs to have really good, thoughtful conversations, interactions, because that's how they sell and keep customers. So that's really who this works really well for.
Okay.
In any one of the phases that you're going to go through but you're going to start with some type of core phase to build out a foundation that's intentional. And in this kind of building of the phase 1, there's really 3 main activities you want to be able to do. And the goal is to establish credibility and relevance. But in the first phase of core, we really want you to really understand your customer at a profile of 1. And what I mean by that is not only demographics, where they work, where they live, but understand the why. What you offer and what you do helps them. And you got to understand the why and the because. And it's so keystone fundamental, because the next piece of that is creating the content. So this could be video, podcast, text, whatever it is, posts. The stuff that you're creating needs to be very relevant to that profile of 1. And here's the takeaway. Don't care about vanity metrics. We used to get 500,000 views and 20,000 likes on stuff, and it would produce very little business. I'll get 100 impressions and 8 meetings out of it. The point is, if you get very content specific to relevance to the profile of 1, the metric that matters are the people that you're talking about that have find value in what you did. So know that also the attribution, that's a little bit harder and it doesn't feel as good, but it works better for growing a business that's sustainable and more time effective, so people aren't wasting your time. So know that. The third part of that phase is an altruistic profile. So I used to use the term optimist or optimized. I don't know what the hell that actually means, because it's optimized to what. But altruistic is in service of someone else. And in this case, you're in service of that profile of 1. So high level, that means, tell me in this order, why I should click on your profile, what it is you do for me, and why should I take any call to action you provide. And that's not the name of your company. That's not your title. It's nothing. There's no calls. It's very simply done. Not that my profile is right on LinkedIn, but it does convert very well for this. So if you want an example of that, be altruistic in everything you're doing. And I'll give you one more tip on content. Write it in a format that has a non-misleading hook, something interesting that people go, okay, let me see. And give somebody like the before, the after, the bridge of what they did, and then also then kind of what they should do next. Some type of call to action. It doesn't have to be like something salesy for you, but something they should just go do next. If you write content in that and this what's in it for me kind of format, you're on the right track to attracting people to really want to interact and be with you. So second phase, and I'll take questions if you want to, guys, but the second phase between that is in connections. Don't spam people. Actually go actively engage in their content thoughtfully. Ask provocative questions. You can use AI to help you come up with provocative questions if you like. Make sure you review it as a human. Try to have focused dialogues on things they care about, their posts, their content, them. Be sincere with it, and make sure your call to action, you have one. Meet with me. Hey, listen, liked your stuff, or here's listen, this is a relevant PDF I made, whatever it is. Have a call to action that allows you to start collecting some of the data or interacting with them to help them. This is when you get your lead. And then finally, to convert people on LinkedIn or anywhere else, this is our signature solution. You need something that's differentiating, and do it in one slide. So if you'd like to take this format, I'll send you the template for it if you want. But give somebody, it takes them through a journey. 3 phases, 3 things you're doing. It's got some benefits on it. But come up with your own differentiators, because if you can't, you're not going to sell much. It's going to sound like everybody else, and they're going to buy it on price, which gets into the second part, which is your offer theory of, what is your pricing, bonuses, guarantees, et cetera, and how are you delivering that? Is it PDF, DocuSign, better proposals? That offer theory matters because that is the moment of when they're going to say yes or no or ignore it. Then finally, once you have a customer, transcend them into a promoter, referral machine, ask for the Google reviews, get testimonials, et cetera. There's a system you need for that as well to kind of make that happen. That is what we teach, coach, do for you, whatever you like. It works because it's consistent. And I think I told you guys, I do about 4,800 comments a month on other people's posts. I'm only on LinkedIn about an hour a week.
Wow. So your team's doing some of that though, right?
I am not violating terms of service. I take the Fifth Amendment.
All right. So an hour a week, 40. So your first interaction is post. Is that what I'm hearing? Like you commented on posts as opposed to messaging, cold outreach.
Yeah. So my version of it is probably the most aggressive we do of any customer. So I'm my own customer, if you will. The sequencing is typically you build an ideal customer profile. It's a profile of 1 through LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You go through and you comment with a thoughtful question, tagging the person. Usually it drives a focused dialogue, as we saw. The reply back closes it. Great conversation. You ask for candy, which means you did something nice. Can I have some candy, Mom? Sure. You ask for a connection request. So, hey, listen, let's stay in touch. Send me a connection request. So you don't burn yours if you don't have to. And it's also keeps your, it's an indicator of people actually, because they're going to check out your profile before they do that. They may like what you do. And it's an indicator of, are they a customer or not? The follow-up with that is usually a direct message, something of, hey, enjoy the dialogue. If you want to find time to chat, here it is. The calendar link is very explanatory. Listen, this is networking, no selling. And in 20 minutes when we do it, I don't sell unless somebody asks me specifically what I do. And so I commit to that sales process religiously. The people who have interest always ask, what is it? Tell me about what you're doing a little bit. And then we're showing that graphic. But that's the interaction. That's the most aggressive form. So for some companies that we do brand awareness for, so these are companies that are like, let's say $80, $100 million kind of contract companies that they really just want when they go to their live annual conference that people know who the hell they are. We'll go do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 comments across certain key people and never ask for a thing, never ask for a meeting. Just great, drive the conversation, wait till the next post comes out and do the same thing. So they're like, hey, that guy comments on my posts all the time. So when they show up to their thing, they have a rapport with somebody through these interactions. So there's different strategies we apply based on your industry.
Yeah.
How do you do a networking call and really stay true to not trying to sell anything? Like, what are some some ways you do that. Like, what do you do in the research stage? You know, you got a call coming up. They agreed to kind of a networking, no sales call.
Sure.
Because I can see how it might be tempting to want to go into kind of sales mode because you finally got to, you know, especially if you're, you know, if you don't have a lot of leads coming in or you know,
Desperate.
yeah, exactly. So what kind of stuff do you talk about to really make it a true networking call?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of what happens is before a call, and part of our form in Calendly is, hey, share your LinkedIn profile. So I click on it, and so I can see it, and then I can immediately. So my hour in LinkedIn is me 5 minutes before a meeting. So there's some fundamentals here. Each meeting's 20 minutes, which gives me a little 5-minute bleed time for the end of it, and 5 minutes to get ready for the next one. Or I'm over 40. Go hit the bathroom. And so the 5 minutes there, I click their LinkedIn profile. I can view it in Sales Navigator. The link to the comment is in there, and that's my first time actually seeing what I said, what I did, so I can catch up to see what the person who they are, what it's all about. I look at their questions and answers in the Calendly, which is not about. It's about them still. Like, hey, what's your biggest business problem? You know, when did you want to solve it? Yesterday, tomorrow. And the point is, you come in just so I have a reference of how they are. But I usually, you know, I'll have on the cut tie. Someone will ask me about my lights. We find, I usually test the relationship pretty early where I say something stupid just to see if they'd be somebody we were going to be able to work with without being unprofessional. But I say, hey, listen, Thomas, I'm in Atlanta. You know, I founded a company called Instant but like, I'm like, just why don't you I'm better if I listen. Why don't you tell me about you a little bit? And I just be quiet and I just let them go. And I just ask questions and I just keep asking questions and just be consultative. If I hear things that I think might be interesting, people usually guide it to where they want to go anyway.
Sure.
And you just ask. You got to be consultative.
Yeah.
So what's your, I think I just heard it, but I just want to clarify. Like, I have an opening question that I usually ask when I get with people on calls. I'm curious, like, what your opening little dialogue question is. I think you kind of just said it, but I want to get more precise.
Oh yeah, I don't have a formula. So I'll be it's one of my skill sets though is just improv, right? Of just being able to ask and read the. I'm looking usually for things in the background. If I'm late, if it's this, whatever it is, you know, and I just where they live. If I know something about that, if I don't know, I just say, hey, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate you just finding time in your world to network. I say who I am from. Like, maybe you start from the networking perspective. Just tell me now about you, that I've shared a few things for 30 seconds. I use technology to let me know when I'm on a monologue, which keeps popping up here while we're doing this.
Yeah. Do you use Fathom for that, or which?
Fathom's one of them. There's other ones with there's other stuff you can use, but that's a good one. I'd say easiest Fathom.video. Go rock it.
Yeah, Fathom. I mean, it's free. It's super easy to use. Like,
awesome.
I love
Zoom
it.
put a bunch of money into it.
It's like, poof,
dude,
puts that monologue. Yeah.
Take
it's
a
color
drink,
coded for us idiots, you know.
It's actually should pop up for Jonathan. Like, are you still there? Jonathan's 6 beers in. For those who are listening, he bought a 4-pack, but he's drank 6.
That's right.
But that's what it is. You have to be dynamic, and I wouldn't be formulaic with it. I would just make sure your formula is ask a question and let them talk.
Yeah. One of the questions I've used in both sales calls, networking calls, and something I learned from a coach I had, and I'll ask some version of, you know, Thomas, you know, we're on this call. You agreed to get on this call. I'm curious, what made you agree to get on this call?
Yeah. And that works if it's a sales call. If you're doing some of the methods we are, where we're just kind of networking, it's harder to do that because I'm like, yeah, you asked me to come network. So that's why mine's a little more aggressive, because I take more meetings than I probably should. But I'm also, so this is an entrepreneur thing to take away, right? I'm also learning my market of how people are interacting. And I've been doing that for a year, 120 plus meetings a month of inbound from our own system. So we don't advertise, we don't do this. But if you're going to really be serious about learning your business, take as many as you can and learn from it, and take some ones where you know there's no way you're doing it, and just practice listening and just build a friend, build somebody who actually learn what they're doing. If you see the opportunity, you'll be better in that moment to be slower, listen. And I will tell you though, like 120 meetings, we probably send out 40 to 50 proposals a month right after the meeting. So that offer theory is all set up and done. and we'll close 25% of those, right? And so the point, 23.8 right now, if I was looking at my metrics, right? And the point is, there's a system in place. When someone says, hey, can you tell me more? I'm like, I'm going to send you a proposal. It's got lots of options. On you to come back to me and say, hey, can we talk about option 2 or option 3? I'll even say probably option 2 is for you, maybe 3, definitely not 1 or 5, and they'll be like, all right, great. And then you have people buying from you at that point. So, but at the same time, it's ready to go. So by the next meeting, I've already shipped the proposal. They're already in there. It's already kicked off. This is having good process. And then, then if you put it in your CRM, it's all part of that. If you've had a really good conversation, you're using Fathom and the GPT to give them a summary back. There's a lot of things you can do that push that through. It allows you to take lots of meetings and do be very effective with it.
So how many meetings do you take? I think I heard a number of over 100.
Oh, easily over 100 a month. Yeah, it's every 20 minutes, no buffer times sometimes. So sometimes they're stacked. Other times there's a 10-minute fold.
And do you block those every day? I'm just curious, like kind of what your process is for, not burning out.
Well, right now, January 2nd is completely full. Or to the end of the year is, and I'm like, I should have blocked that day. Even Thanksgiving was full because I don't think people did it. And still, some people are like, "Hey, are you joining?" I'm like, "It's Thanksgiving." It was USA based. They're like,
right.
It's a high buy-in indicator. I'm like, I'll find time for you. I try to take every Wednesday. I block it. So I film content for Never Been Promoted podcast and the book that I have coming out. So I film content on Wednesdays. I use it as a learn day. So I'm doing 100 to 120 meetings in 4 days a week.
Wow.
Pretty much don't get those till 8:30 to 4:30. But each one you got to come in full energy. That's why.
So 8 to 10 a day.
Easily. I mean, sometimes I open up the calendar when people are like, "Hey, can you?" And then you still have customer meetings and stuff. So.
Wow.
That's this year. The system's working. This next year is about scaling that with some new salespeople coming on, so I can get my time out.
Sure.
But it's a lot. I mean, it's 8 to 10 meetings a day minimum times 20 days. Of those, 120 are sales calls.
Wow.
So obviously, if you're doing that many, meetings, that doesn't leave much time for fulfillment. So your team, I guess, does most of the fulfillment.
100%. Yeah. No, I would not be successful without the team. Our teams are, I've been working with the same team for almost 3 years as we've added new people based out of Philippines. We hire deeply. What I mean by that is it's hard to get a job with us. And every person needs to replicate themselves. So we call it the beer truck rule. Step out of the bar, you get hit by the beer truck. Who's taking your job? Everyone's on the page that no one's here to replace anybody else. They're there because you have a backup, because you're going to want to do a vacation.
Sure.
You're going to want to take time off. Our teams, this is completely anti-culture to theirs and even ours. Everyone has 4-day work weeks. Mine's Wednesdays off. And so everyone's really happy. They work their ass off. They're paid well, regardless if we have customers or not. So when we were first starting, but because of that, we have a solid team. We don't use VAs. So everyone who comes on is a certified engagement specialist. So they actually go through formal training, certification. They actually have to work via my account. So I get to see what they're doing, which is good for me or you, not for me. Sometimes we're like, ooh, wow, you hired that? Like, is this someone's brother? Like how? And so I have questions usually when that happens, but there's a whole process for how we do this and how we manage security and some other things and get to know people.
How many
it's super
people do you?
important because if you're going to hire someone to help you do stuff, you better be damn sure they know what their security is. They're not going to get your account shut down. In 3 years, we've never even gotten a letter from LinkedIn for any of our customers. So
these are all full-time employees for you.
Well, I can't call them employees per se, but they're full-time individuals that are paid weekly. Yeah. I mean, like they're paid salaries.
Like 1099. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
I wouldn't know how to hire in the Philippines if I even hired someone to tell me how to do it. So I don't.
So how would a solopreneur kind of roll into this? They're not going to have a full team. You just scale back the number of appointments, and you're doing, because you would probably have to do fulfillment. Is my point.
Right. There's a great question. So in early days, let's look at what you're trying to accomplish. So let's go to like when I showed you that thing, goals and objectives, and let's be realistic. Let's say you're a coach, common person that comes to us for help. There's 722 million people on LinkedIn. And let's say, I don't know, 7,200 would definitely buy your stuff if you could tell them, which is such a small number.
Right.
And you want to get 8 clients a month. whatever it is.
Mhm.
You don't have to move that fast. You just got to accept that you're not going to. And so let's say you need to really have good, maybe 35 conversations a month, maybe. Let's even say half that, 15, to hit like a 720 number throughout a year that might be realistic. And you want to close like 10% of those, so you have an ongoing piece. You have time. And so the point is, the fulfillment, don't worry about outsourcing that too fast. Just make your efforts, build the relationships, build the systems that allow you to scale once you get too busy. Because once you get too busy, you're going to want to get delivery, and then that slows you down because you don't have it in process. Just realize that you're going to have to build it. It's just not going to, if it happens overnight, you're also screwed because you can't fulfill your own orders probably, and you won't be able to hunt and deliver at the same time. So I teach you how to do that and how to do this. And then where we come in is when someone needs us to pick up the torch because they're like, hey, I'm really busy. Can I hire you guys to help with the lead gen, the execution, the connection phase? We already know they know what they're doing. So we're just picking up the torch, exactly what they did. So they have scale now. And that's why we coach every one of our customers that we do this for, or we're just doing. We can just step right in and pick up that torch and give an incredible scale when they're ready financially to do it. But I teach you how to get there first, because there's no reason to go hire. People make so many mistakes hiring companies way too early in the cycle.
Right.
And I'm sure everyone here has done it. I know I have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we've all done it, trying to get there quicker with less work.
Maybe pour out a little beer for that. And
Whoops. Hey, Thomas, should we audit Jonathan's profile on LinkedIn?
We can, if you like.
I think
Which
we
one?
should do that. Let's
Jonathan, do you want me to do this? Oh, here we go.
There we go.
All right.
Well, Jonathan's got a much clearer niche. So I think if you could put him on the spot. Tell him why his profile sucks.
How many beers we had in? Jonathan looks much bigger than me, and I'm not that far from him logistically, where he could just drive drunk and show up.
He does have. He goes pretty far south for his territory too, so you wouldn't be that far.
Hey man, here's I think composites. I have no idea what you do, Jonathan. Here's my first take. I don't know what you do.
I'm glad you don't.
Me. I don't know why I'd click on your profile, and I don't know why I would take the call to action you don't have.
That's good.
So, looking at your profile, I think the image is actually good. I like that. Like, I don't mind a black and white image. I think you should smile a little bit more. I'm seeing way more smiles here. I don't smile. I have a shit-eating grin. Looks like you have a real smile. So you should leverage that.
Yeah, Jonathan's a handsome guy. He needs to accentuate that.
Right. I think you should be like more of like the realtor No, I'm kidding.
No, I can't.
So on your billboard, your banner. Yeah. That's the second part. There's three things you need to do in this order. Why should I click on it? What does it do for me? And why should I take your call to action? So the first 7 words of your headline, where you have founder of Composites Weekly and Buzz Mountain, that tells me no reason why I should click on that profile. Because when you comment on someone's post, that's what they see, that in your name. And so that doesn't tell me anything. The other thing it's missing is just write your name. You can use a second name that gives you some areas to be like, to have fun. I think I say author of Never Been Promoted right now, or you can also do the he, she thing in creative, where you can hack your thing. So mine says top voice, so I can get some credentialing. So there's some stuff you can do with that. I think you have to see full profile to see the call to actions. The first 7 words of mine you see on mobile is why. So serious about growing your business with LinkedIn. That if you are, that's why you should click my profile, and people do. That works pretty well. I recommend people change these about every month. Mine stays around that because that one converts incredibly well for me. When you land on my page, I don't normally have the book there, but we're starting to do the pre-launch. So I have to bring 2 brands across together, and it gives you a little credibility and authority. It also explains my tie because they see the book. It creates interest. But the first thing you see in my pieces says relevance ignites revenue. Now that happens to be the tagline for our company. You wouldn't know that unless you go visit, but it's what we do for you. I create relevance so you make money. All right. You go down and they read past the pipe there. It says nail your marketing strategy, get leads. It tells you what you get. And I add in what villain I'm tackling, brand wrecking spam. Now, I often will put coaches, or I'll put entrepreneurs. I was trying to save a little real estate. Usually you should state who it's for. Okay. We have a pretty bright audience, I'm finding, that does it. And I'm not seeing any decreasing by not specifically calling out a group that we're trying to target, because people want to nail your brand and the business and all this kind of stuff. So notice that the first part of it is in caps. So it's a title. The second part is a sentence.
Where are you talking about?
It says nail your marketing strategy, get leads, and that is a sentence. That's something I'm telling you. The other one is a title, and that don't cap the whole thing. Don't use full caps on anything because it's annoying and it seems so.
Right.
Don't do that. If you scroll down, I'm gonna show you something. See how it says book an appointment right there?
Yep.
When I comment on someone's post, so if you go down and find one of my comments, and anybody's, this is newer on LinkedIn. Use these custom buttons because they show up. Go and click one of those, and you'll see it. Probably because you're not me. Yeah, click one of those. You'll see book an appointment right underneath my name. Now you see how it says top voice. I get a cred.
Okay.
You could be like podcast host, whatever. And you should use that little thing right there to track the group.
Really cool.
If you're trying to get podcast guests, put podcast host.
Mm-hmm.
How do you identify? I identify as a top voice right now. And serious about growing. So that's a really small one. It looks like it's shrunk down, but the book your appointment becomes something when you comment that you can directly go do. And that before it was custom links that didn't show up there. So I would recommend people doing that. Now, if I looked at yours, Jonathan, you don't have that. You don't have, you notice I don't take you to my website. It goes right to a Calendly. We skip all that noise. We go right to let's get a hyperactive buyer. Let's bring them right in.
Right.
For you, I think, I don't know what you do. So I would tell you on that headline in 3 to 5 words without putting a logo or a website, you could put like, hey, ring the bell. I'm fine with that one a little bit.
Sure.
Tell me what you do. And then in the first 7 words, tell me why I should click it. Put a pipe and put in a sentence who it's for, what do they get, and what villain do you solve for?
So when you say pipe, you mean the straight up and down line?
The pipe. I think it's like above the enter button with the shift.
It's right below the, it's above the return or below the delete on a Mac. On a PC.
QWERTY sounds like a drunk keyboard. I'm QWERTY today. Kind of QWERTY like that.
So go back to Thomas's profile. When you click on book an appointment, where does that show me what that goes?
Okay. Yeah. So book an appointment.
Because I go to my
Calendly. Okay. Cool.
So that one's so I have different Calendly links. You can use you can use one Calendly link with the question mark UTM_source equals. That's one thing you can do in Calendly. Now, if you see there, when you're booking from my page, it says this time slot is only for individual companies ready to move forward with the Instant Relevant system. I'm very direct with that. If you're coming from my page, we're coming in for a meeting.
Okay. And
it's because I'm ready to get leads on LinkedIn. I'll change that. Hey, I'm ready to grow my business. I'm serious about growing my business. I have another one that's I hand out in our DMs that says, here's my private scheduling link, which is thomashelfrich/private, right? Calendly.com/ when you give that one out, it comes in and says no selling. This is for us to learn about each other. You can but no one's selling here. Like in here's
I have on my Calendly, I have a coffee with Sean.
Exactly.
I think it says virtual coffee with Sean.
Yeah, and if on LinkedIn, someone's clicking that, they're interested. Make sure that they know that this is reserved only for. So the result of that is 120 meetings. I might get one every 3 months from somebody from Bangalore or Pakistan trying to get a job. But they do, I cancel them because we only take US meetings or UK meetings right now, or people who look serious about lead gen or networking.
Sure.
People don't even try because they're like, oh, I'm not gonna. What's the point? This guy's not gonna take my call. So and I don't mean it mean, but the truth is that gets the noise off. So all those meetings that are kind of inbound coming, it's because things are set up correctly to do it. And these things change, by the way. You need to update stuff that kind of keep people interested and such.
Yeah.
But that's ours.
Sean, can you scroll down? I was reading something short explainer video. So what do you have there? Like on
that explains our system. I think it's the older version of it, but it goes right into a YouTube things.
Oh, that's cool.
I call it my Gen Z video.
That. Yep.
I owe that an update with the updated thing, but that's helpful. That gives people 2 minutes of information.
I mean, you've got 1,000 views in 2 months. I mean, that's
only 8 people. There's a private one.
Only 8 people liked it, so
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'll give you a like. How about that?
It's a sales. I'll tell you the channel that we're growing really well. In 4 weeks, we're almost at 700 subscribers. Has never been promoted, and so that's all about helping the entrepreneur through their journey. The content's way funny on it right now, even though the book's a little serious. But that's the one that I'm like, cool. But I owe an update to that. It's part of the filming at the end of the year is to film the new video with that and do this.
Yeah. So does that ever I don't know if there's a way to know that, but coming from the direct response copywriting world, I would never put a link that takes people away from the flow of the process because they'd get distracted and they're watching cat videos, or whatever their choice of YouTube videos are. Do you find that, or do you probably don't even know?
I haven't. I mean, listen, we get so many meetings. It's just information to help people ahead of time. When they do book it, they get it in there. So I'll take that response. By the way, that's a great idea. Of
like, why not put this on the thank you page instead?
Yeah, well, once you book it, there is a thank you page. It takes you to an actual thank you video as well. So book a time. I'll show you what we do with that from the workflow.
So are you actually booked out this far, or is this just like psychological warfare here that you're saying next month?
We got next one. Oh, definitely this month. This year's done. Yeah, that's probably right.
There's only one available.
Yeah,
like none of your days show up.
Go to February. Actually, maybe I have an error on that. Now you're showing me this, but I'll look it up myself.
I can't even go to February.
Oh, it's 60 days. No, I'm booked through January already.
Wow. That must be the last available day out or something. It's probably January 3rd.
It could be, but you said that. And so this is a good entrepreneurial lesson. Take feedback and do something with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me.
But it's really good because it's like scarcity.
Yeah. Nobody wants to go eat dinner at an empty restaurant, right? So it's, but at the same time,
scarcity.
There's a fine line between having to wait a month and, being able to talk to somebody. So I wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, if I were doing that, I would like block out. I wouldn't fill in the rest of January either. I would just get it up to a certain point, like that first week in January.
He's probably got a cap of like 3 weeks or something like that.
That's perfect.
I got to find what the link is for that. They're usually 100 or 60 days out.
Really? Wow.
But my January is fully booked already. I mean, it's insane.
That's
really
awesome.
is. So which is great because a year ago we pivoted. So this is a thing to understand, right? 15 months ago, I looked at our offering and said it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't add enough value. The price point's too low for what we're doing. I need to add more value and really think through some things. So we created the system that we were already doing. By the way, you got to send me a connection request. Apparently we're not connected. I'm out.
Did earlier today, but you haven't responded yet.
I don't manage my LinkedIn account. I'll get in there and do it. But is that we pivoted to create a system that was repeatable. And this time last year, we lost 80% of our customers because people are like, oh, I'm going to try something new next year because we had the wrong kind of customer buyer. We kept experiencing this attrition every 60, 90 days. And the customers that weren't attrition were ones that had sold on bigger deals and we were doing more for. So we created the system that really was more about what we were doing for bigger companies. And we offered it to solopreneurs on a price point that was a little higher, but it was also chasing successful entrepreneurs, people who are already in a spot. Since then, we've increased profitability by 400%. We've more than doubled revenue over last year. We not closed the books, but last year I was drawing on lines of credit to pay people because we lost. And it's like, oh God, January, February, where are the meetings? But then they started showing up because our new system went into place at the end of last year. Into January, started closing mid-February more. And then since then, it's been crazy. And the lesson there, I would say, is we had a good offering, mispositioned, and the bigger offering that we were afraid to go give or figure out how to go do for the smaller entrepreneur, we figured out and how to add the value in the right price points, and now it's taken off. And then next year, we're adding a couple salespeople and more capability on the delivery side to even take it further, because now we're going out to where we originally were, which was add the web and the email component. Because when you put those three things together, you got it. You got what you need to build a business.
Wow, cool. Yeah, I mean, it takes a few iterations to figure out the offer, and you got to get some feedback and things like that. So that totally makes sense. Let's shift gears a little bit, Thomas, to in our last kind of few minutes together. You've got a background in AI. So when you say background in AI, how far back were you playing with AI?
Yeah, and it's not at the algorithm coding nerd level. It's on the consulting. How does this impact and transform your business? So the KPMGs, Accenture, big consulting, world. Mine goes back almost 11 years now. So when intelligent automation when Watson was running all these ads, and it was like I was doing all this consulting for big companies like Eli Lilly, state of Georgia, Stanley Black & Decker. Like I helped them put some of their strategies in, governance models, also for technology, but specifically for intelligent automation AI system for these bigger companies. So I led those projects, helped land them. And and understand this robotic process automation and how AI and cognitive platforms like Rain, you guys probably don't know if this company called Rainbird, how they just decision making at scale. I mean, talking massive scale, like, millions
their
and
sprinkler
millions of
systems
transactions
before.
per second to drive real time. So it goes back pretty good. So I've seen quite a bunch of stuff that's been promised and not delivered, and other stuff that's been delivered with promise.
So before we get into details about some AI, as far as like, for prospecting, lead generation, that kind of thing, kind of what's your overall thought right now and your overall feeling about where AI is and where it's going?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. So maybe we'll keep it specific because that's a broad question, because AI at the, healthcare level and the big data level where AI is looking at radiation scans being more accurate than doctors. Like let's table that one. So I'll say this: if you're ignoring it because you don't understand it, you're making a mistake.
I agree.
Even at the generative content creation level to how it's helping you get sold or your data, like it's there. Just accept that it's not going away.
Yeah. It's like the internet.
I think if I look at how people are leveraging it day to day, so ChatGPT, I think I said we were early adopters of that, but people are using this now daily, and they're wondering why it's still not working, and they're getting turned off. And here's the visual graph I'll describe. Imagine two lines, XY axis graph, red line, blue line. Red line's above the blue line a little bit, and they're both above the X axis. The distance between their line and the bottom X axis is how good they are at doing something, their expertise, whatever it is, content creation, what have you. The difference between the two lines is that how good they are apart. And they don't really see that because no one really understands how much better that person is than me. They only see that, I'm pretty good. And I see this, I'm pretty good. Now, as you go through this and AI was introduced, and let's say ChatGPT is the example, both curves went up. The blue line, who wasn't very good at what they did, has this perception of, man, I have really accelerated up because of this AI. I'm doing it so much better now. The people in the red have done a hockey stick curve up, and the difference between the two is massive. So if you weren't very good at creating content before, you weren't very good at doing even strategy before, you feel like you're doing better, but you're exponentially getting behind those who already knew what they were doing, because the AI accelerates those people at a 10x factor, if not more.
Yeah.
And so if you have a perception I'm kicking ass, but you don't see the results, that's why. It's okay to admit I don't know how I'm doing, because you don't. And the people who do really know how to use those tools to blow it out, because they can ask it questions and have it think in ways that thing can go, and you're taking it to maybe where they had already done instantly cognitively themselves. And your perception is really bad, but you don't see the perception of how far you're going to be behind, which means you are on the track to be exited out of whatever you're doing.
Yeah. The quote comes to mind that the quality of your life is based on the quality of your questions, not the answers. And I think that's true for AI and prompting and all that kind of stuff. Like if you don't understand how to interact with AI itself to get what you want, you're going to get a lot of junk back and pretty average results. And if you don't know how to refine it, you don't know how to, it's, as a copywriter for myself, like, you kind of have to know what a good output looks like. If you don't know what good content looks like, it's hard to judge when it spits it out if it's good or not.
Well, exactly. And if you were bad at it, everything looks better.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's actually worse relative to what's good.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right.
Because
you would have been better being bad at it, being authentic right now, than use GPT-4 to have just stuff that you thought is better. Like, let's just go back to being bad at it and admit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one example. So where I asked where AI is going, that's where it's going. It's accelerating those who already know and who already have educated themselves and just have shown a proficiency in something.
And who are willing to embrace it, I would say.
Exactly. So, and it's okay to use it, though. I will say the person who doesn't know what they're doing, if you could be smart enough to know that I really don't know what I'm doing, I'm just guessing, use it to educate yourself, then you will get accelerated to a higher point of where you are, or be successful enough at what you do well and outsource that to somebody who knows.
Yeah, I've told clients before, for now, don't treat this so much like a tool as treat it like a toy. have some fun with it, and I think you'll learn faster. I actually read a quote today that said that you need like 400 repetitions to create a new like neural pathway in your brain. Unless you're doing it in play, then it only takes 10 to 20. I don't know if that's scientifically correct, but it was a nice meme, so I grabbed it.
Oh yeah, I mean, why not, right?
But that sounds anecdotally, that sounds correct to me.
Yeah,
I would think so, because when you do something gaming, it has a different sticking to it and
Right.
repetition. I think it's sometimes why AI works well, because there's a lot of gamification around it.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah, and that's the first thing I tell when people are trying to get familiar with it. It's like, yeah, just play with it. Like, don't take it so seriously. Just you can't break it. Just have fun with it.
No, I
Just
feel like I've broken it a few times. My AI is broken. Sometimes my coffee got broken. Remember that?
Yeah, well, you're using instant, so I would expect. I mean, instant coffee is terrible. So,
I don't know. If you take instant coffee, just get it liquefied and add like a chocolate protein shake with
well,
ice.
that's different. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Way
Although I
better
will
than regular
say,
coffee in that scenario.
Kirkland's has a great instant coffee. I will say that the Costco Kirkland's brand has a great instant
Today's
coffee.
episode is brought to you by Costco, local market here in Austin, Texas. Costco.
There you go.
Yeah, I wish we had Costco as a sponsor. That'd be great.
Costco.com.
So how do you use then AI in kind of your lead gen process?
Yeah, it's in the content creation. So all our comments, obviously the team's not going to go read that post. We leverage it with specific instructions so each customer we have, and we teach you how to do this. You set up custom instructions and operations for that GPT model. So it's replying in a way that's consistent with your tone, your whatever else. Once you have that set up, we use the idea to ask a single provocative question.
Okay.
And be concise. So don't get too all rah emojis. Just, what do you think about it compels the poster, except one person, and I'm not gonna say who it was, who said, "Can you please stop commenting on any of my posts?" I'm like, why do you put them out there then? Anyway,
wow.
Real thing. And I'm like, it was one really good question. And I'm like, she hadn't replied to any post. I'm like, why did you put it out there at all? I'm like, cuckoo.
Did she reply to that with that question?
Yeah, she sent me a DM on it.
Oh, a DM. Okay.
I'm like, well, don't DM me instructions. Tell me what to do. How about that?
Great.
My team brought it to my attention. I just laughed.
That's hilarious.
Do another comment. Anyway, I don't troll. So the point is, ask a provocative question. Look at articles, summarize it, use the content that's there. There's some clever technology. You can look at all the other comments. There's a lot of people who are using AI to do comments directly. A human takes it for us and looks at it and goes, does that make sense? Is that really a good question? Modifies it. So we truly try to keep a human in the loop the whole way. Slows down scale and volume, but increases quality and authenticity quite a bit, which I recommend doing, because that's what's going to get noticed for a very, when you're down to profile of one, you're not trying to get 10,000 people. You're trying to find 100 to have a conversation with. Yeah. You don't need to do high volume. You need high quality and and thoughtfulness.
So how long do you think it'll be before you don't need the humans anymore?
As long as humans are involved, you're going to have a human involved. Because as soon as it's bots talking to bots, the platform's dead.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah. So they'll be there. LinkedIn continually is changing how things are done to make sure humans are there. They've gotten rid of the viral nature of the algorithm. So it's really like, there's Gary Vee has 5 million people, might get 1,000 likes on a post, which just seems like a lot, but 5 million people, really? Right. There's a time window. Certain people see it.
Yeah.
It can get so far. And then it also encourages posting. If you over content, they put 10 billion, was it, into OpenAI, Microsoft. I assure you, they know if a post is AI written.
Yeah.
They know if a VPN posted. They know if it was you can look at, there's so much contextual data that's coming in the next 2-3 years. If you're loading your blogs up with, here's the tip, right? If you're loading your content and blogs up with only GPT written stuff, you're screwed 3 years from now.
Yeah.
Your SEO and your findability and your kind of ranking or whatever new rankings, and it's gonna take it off. It's gonna you're really setting yourself up for a bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, yeah, they'll figure out the update that will go backwards and look at all your content,
and you'll be so reliant on it, then you won't know how to. I mean, it's like a crutch.
You're that blue line again, getting worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the challenge moving forward, is how do you incorporate AI and use
Yeah.
the, it's a tool, right? It's like when cars, came out and you didn't have to take the buggy to town. You could take the car to town. It's just a technology that helps
It
with
is.
speed.
But this is where I would leverage AI in the system is use it to free up time so you can be more thoughtful with the initial interactions with other humans. So don't outsource that to AI. Just don't ever do it.
Right.
And if you're a high volume business, you shouldn't be doing interactions like that. You should be doing ads, and you create a capital machine in the background with landing pages and funnels. So like the human should be out of your high volume business anyway. So let's just be clear on that. Second, use the AI to do your notes, the follow-ups, to write better proposals, to have more meaning. Take all your notes from the week, from the all your meetings that you've had, and put it in AI and say, hey, create an article that addresses most of the topics that came out of this month.
Oh,
There's a really good use case for AI.
Yeah.
And use your Fathom or whatever else to start pumping those in there and say, hey, what are the common themes of all these meetings? What are their common problems? Where am I talking too much? Where are they not listening? Where do you see a rejection or a comment that I'm not addressing? That's the kind of stuff you use AI to get better with.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you'll have everything you need for your content. On the podcast here, right? There's a company that we use called Whisper. So it's WYSPER, .ai.
Of course.
We upload our podcast into it, and it gives me all the posts, show notes, social media, the article, and we modify it. But it saves me like a week of team time doing stuff.
Yeah.
And the posts do great. And so they're using GPT in the background. They found ways to be able to load up longer, audio transcripts or whatever else, or just dump the audio in there, and it works too.
Yeah.
And I don't own the company or have anything to do with it. I just like them. I think they're great. I promote them all the time. And they're the guys in like Nicaragua or something like that, just, being a nomad. Good for him. That's where you use AI, because that way you can spend more time getting to know people.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I use it for relevant questions on my other podcast that I do, help me create some really good discussion topics and bullet points and questions, for guests. So
I want to check, because I'm keeping a list of like AI tools. Is this it, Thomas?
No, .ai.
Yeah.
WYSPR.
.ai.
Just get rid of the H. I think you get rid of the H.
Man, everybody's fighting for the URL.
There you go.
All right. I like that. All right. Okay. We'll keep that up. I know Podium is one that I've looked at a couple of times. We've tested a few times for this podcast, and it does a pretty good job of like turning your show into a blog post. So yeah, I agree. Like,
this is great. I mean, I'll tell you, these posts have performed I've done raw, just experiment, like no change how you do it. They've done really well.
I mean, I think it's a good point. Like, here's three humans having a conversation for an hour.
Yep.
And you plug that real conversation into AI and let it spit out, 6 different repurposing things or whatever it is.
It is, and then you can retool it to help you redo it. So our format on Never Been Promoted is we create for our guests 5 shorts, a mid-form video for YouTube. We'll do the long version, obviously, with so you have the 3 pieces, and then then we do all the social media posts, audiograms, all that stuff comes from AI, but then humans check it to make sure it's okay. In our podcast, we'll ask people, who should they follow? What companies do you like? What tech? And we tag all them in the post as well. So that draws people into the thing. So those are the things that we use to do this. Enabling technologies like Zapier, right? And it's not really AI, Monday.com, like those kind of things help you if you use them correctly. MailChimps, like those automation tools that aren't specifically AI, leverage them so you have more time with humans. You can do more podcasts. You can do that. That's the answer. And that's part of the systems that we teach, because if you're just focusing on the automation and not the interactions on the B2B, you're not gonna make it.
Right.
Cool.
Awesome.
Right, Jonathan. Any last questions? Let me ask this, Thomas. If you could give one piece of wisdom, if you could put a billboard up that everybody would read and as they're driving or whatever, what's kind of your one billboard piece of wisdom that you would leave the listeners with?
Yeah, no shortcuts. And, there is none. There are none
That
in getting in
sucks. Try
shape.
another one. Do another one. That's not very.
Sean doesn't like
it
that one.
I mean, you just
Slow and
it's
steady.
nice, baby. You can go to
Slow.
sexyvoiceguy.com and hear this guy
Yeah.
talk all day long. That's a real thing, by the way. That's my content experimentation. The biggest piece I tell people is just really on be altruistic, and in everything you do. So if you are who do you want to hang out with? The person who helps serve and help you, or the person who demands stuff from you? And so be that person that people want to be around. Be altruistic. Be in service of someone bigger than you, some other bigger piece. I'm not talking just about faith or anything else, right? Like I'm not going down that path with you. It's more of if you have the mindset, I'm trying to help you. Don't get taken advantage of. I'm not saying that, but be in the mindset, I'm here to first help and be a good person. And that's my goal for the day. And if you could be altruistic in your business sense, you're going to attract a better buyer. You're going to have a better reputation and you're going to have a better understanding because people are going to be more open with you of what they like and don't like about your services or the industry or whatever else. And just, you'll be more open and receptive to take that information, because then you can do something with it to create the services and stuff that people do want, and they like you with it.
Yeah. That reminds me of Stephen Covey, seek first to understand, then be
right.
understood.
Then to be
that book just never gets worn out. Like, that's a good book. It's a Gen X book for sure for us.
Gen X. Guys. Don't mess with us.
Absolutely.
Not only we drink out of the garden hose, we didn't let the thing run out first. When we were thirsty, whatever came out with it, bugs, snakes.
Yeah, a little red clay.
Got a June
You're in Georgia. You're in Georgia, right, Thomas?
Yeah, but during those years growing up, Central Illinois, St. Louis. Okay. So you got some crazy little weird things that got in your mouth. Like, whoa, that's a June bug.
Growing up, Jonathan and I both grew up in Georgia.
That's right.
So sometimes you had some red clay come out of the hose.
Man, that stuff turned it out.
Red clay, yeah. While we're fighting off mosquitoes and gnats and all that stuff.
Yeah. Gnats are the worst. Mosquitoes I can deal with almost because gnats, they are so good at hovering around your eyes and ears.
Yeah.
I found, by the way, just for anybody listening, get a hat, a little lavender underneath the bill, stay away from your face. It's a golf trick.
Nice.
Ooh.
Lavender.
So you're a golfer.
Look at you promoting the essential oils.
Lavender rubbed in the right places. Birdies.
So did I hear that right, Thomas? You're a golfer?
I am. There's a truth to it. I used to be a plus handicap, and now I'm about a 7, and my business is much better.
Oh,
very good. Well, Jonathan, you and Thomas will have to hook up.
That's right, man.
On an Atlanta course next time you're down in there.
For sure, man.
I like that idea because golf is a 4-letter word that I never get it to do. So let's go do that.
Yeah.
It's not, listen, I don't make it sound like my wife does. I just don't have time. But if I can plan for it, I got to plan for it because everything.
Yeah.
Either way, you're paying for it, right?
Told me the better a golfer you are, the shittier your business is. So I don't know if that's true or not, but
if you're going to be a plus handicap, it's 100% true because there's short game time involved and a lot of wedges to hit. That you're not making business on when you're doing it.
I know.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Thomas, we're going to put you back in the green room if you've got a second. We'll check back in with you.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Enjoy
your beer. They've gotten warm for sure. No one's got to go refill yet.
Stouts get better as they get warm, so they're good.
That's right.
So, we'll be back to you in just a second. We'll have a little after show chat.
All right, man, that was fantastic.
Yeah, some good stuff there. I want to put up I forgot to do this. Where's it at? There it is. Oh no, I've got like 16 different tabs open here there it is. Share screen. InstantlyRelevant.com. It's a 9-month-old outdated website, but you can go there to check out what Thomas is up to.
Yeah.
But probably the better thing to do is go find him on LinkedIn.
That's where he is.
Because that's where all his magic happens.
Yeah.
That's where his wife contacts him.
Yep.
When she needs something from him. Because that's the place he keeps tabs on.
That's right.
Or his team does anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Jonathan, we got to get your LinkedIn profile worked on because
I gotta optimize that, buddy. It's looking weak.
Like yours sucks. Apparently,
it's looking weak. I'm not changing my profile pic though. I love that.
I like it. It's kind of a Joe Rogan-esque, black and white.
That's right.
You just need to do the hands under the chin thing.
That's right.
But Buzz Mountain, is that like a beer company? I'm not sure what Buzz Mountain is. Seems like a good name for
that's
a
my
brewery.
media. That's my media. That's the company that does the all-encompassing Composites Weekly.
Yeah,
you know,
I know what it is, but it does sound like a brewery, if I'm being honest.
Well, that would be good too. I wouldn't
That'd
mind.
be awesome. So
Yeah.
Speaking of breweries,
my lifetime dream, Sean, is to own a brewery, and I just sit and do podcasts in the brewery. Wouldn't that be awesome?
So interestingly enough, I just found that list I sent you by text last night.
Yes.
The number one brewery on there is like 5 miles down the road from me.
Wow.
So the number one brewery in the U.S. is about 5 miles from me, and I'm going to go check it out next weekend.
I can't wait.
And they literally, it's all a regenerative farm, pretty cool stuff. So, and you can do tours. You can it's a 165 acre farm or ranch.
I can't wait.
We don't have farms in Texas. It's a ranch. So
it's perfect.
So I'll find you a bottle of something to send you.
I can't wait to come visit next year when Georgia comes to Texas.
Yes.
I'm going to try to find
talking about it last night. Did we get tickets to that game? Because that schedule looks brutal, by the way.
Oh man, I got to be there. Unfortunately for you guys have booked some kind of race during that week, that same weekend. And
is the F1 race that weekend?
It's the F1 race, and you can't find. People are complaining because they can't find.
We have a room. Come hang out.
That's right. I have always have a place there in Austin.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we need to get to Thomas, I'll let you take us out.
All right. To all of our listeners, you can find us over at persuasionbythepint.com. Also, be sure to check out, I want to mention Thomas's. So I went over to Amazon. You can find Never Been Promoted. You can listen to the Audible. So he's got these down to clips. It's pretty good. I'll post the link on our show page. But if you do a search for Never Been Promoted, you can find some of the interviews that he's done. I'm assuming those are a lot of his podcast interviews, so you may be able to find those just at his podcast site too. But we'll have all of that stuff on the show page that will link back to, all of his stuff. And man, it's been a good interview. I appreciate the critique, and I've got some work to do, Sean. But to all of our listeners, you can find us persuasionbythepint.com. You can find us on all of your podcast platforms. Whatever source you use to listen or download podcasts, just do a quick search, Persuasion by the Pint. Find us, subscribe, leave us 5 stars if you like the content, and we greatly appreciate it. Sean, it's been fun. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya. Hey, wait, let's go out with some rock music, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, so full strength.
There we go. I love it. Perfecto. Right. Perfecto.